Everyone, welcome to another episode of Vancing With. Today we're speaking with Nora DiNuzzo, who just started her own business leaving the agency world called Pitcher. Nora, tell us a little about yourself.
Hi, I'm Nora DiNuzzo, and I'm the founder of Pitcher. And Pitcher is 7 months young. We're pretty new to the scene, but I've been in the Pittsburgh ad game for the last 15 years. I worked at FSC and then Mark USA, now Nine Rooftops, and then Smith Brothers, now Smiths. And my background is in account management and business development. I've focused in business development for the last 10 years. So Pitcher is a brand strategy and business development consultancy. Don't call us an agency because we don't employ creatives full time, but we work on what I call the first mile stuff, which is brand strategy, business strategy, content strategy, comm strategy, all the strategies, all the things to kind of get a company to the point where they would have their way forward, their path forward, their pitch, get their story straight. And then we hand it over to the right creative partners to make magic with. So yeah, that's what we're doing. Our consultancy, not an agency, working with small biz, helping small biz in our community and nationally. And given the good juicy assignments to the creatives that we're best buddies with.
Let's step back just for like a minute and what was the catalyst for you making the jump and kind of advancing yourself into being an entrepreneur, starting your own business?
Yeah, that's a great question. I never thought I would be an entrepreneur. Like I always worked for other people's businesses. My whole purview was always, make people money, make other people money. And, I got compensated for doing that. So that was a good thing. But things really changed for me during the pandemic for a few reasons. One, I was working from home. So I was with my kids a lot more. I also had gone from having full-time, both of them in daycare, so I could work in an agency setting and kind of do the grind. I couldn't do that anymore, really. And my husband, Dave DiNuzzo, also works in the agency world. So basically at that time, he was working for Foothold and I was working for Smiths. And it was like, whose project is more important today, and trade off? Because you can't leave a 1-year-old unattended. And I started to think about, was there a way to do something different that would maybe allow me to have more flexibility, more family time, something like entrepreneurship. And so I had done a program through Chatham's Center for Women's Entrepreneurship called Concept to Launch. And it was basically for pre-revenue startups to pressure test their idea. And that's when I actually pitched Pitcher. I had the name. I didn't have the brand done by that point, but I knew that I wanted to call it Pitcher. I knew that I wanted to help small businesses. But I pitched everybody on it and they were like, that's an incredible pitch. That sounds like a great idea. And this was October 2020. And I still, when I did it, I didn't know that I was going to do it. I did it because it was $45. It was well, that is the best $45 I'm going to spend because I'll just know something about how to be an entrepreneur if I ever wanted to. I mean, I'll spend more on coffee, in a month than that, So it was the perfect thing, to do and just to kind of see for myself what that might be like because we have so little exposure to entrepreneurship in agencies. Unless we're working with small businesses, which we mostly aren't because, financially it's not viable. And then the other thing that I've spoken to the ad fed about, and you probably heard me say on LinkedIn, is that I kind of had a Bernie Sanders moment. So at the same time that I'm, kind of wondering, should I be doing this or should I be doing my own thing? I'm also watching, a lot of businesses close. At the same time, you're hearing all these stories about large companies stealing the PPP money. And frankly, I just felt like I was on the wrong side of history at that moment. So I basically just kind of had my Bernie Sanders moment, my crisis of conscience, where I said, I don't really want to help big get bigger.
From your perspective, obviously it's a scary leap from one business owner to another. I know how that can feel. What's going through your head as you're okay, this is the decision I'm going to make and we're going to do it. And then what were the first couple steps you did to kind of get going?
Yeah. So again, it kind of happened organically. After I got promoted to VP, backing up to fall of 2020, I did the course at CWE, stuck it on the shelf, had the idea of Pitcher, but then I kind of was just this is my parachute escape hatch someday. So yeah, so I really love independence, really love small. And so I had in the back of my head, if Smith's ever sold, if that was going to happen, and I did not want to work for whoever acquired them, if they sold to like a holding company, that I would want to not probably be involved in that. But then I started getting a lot of outreach from different people all over the country. So the first 6 months of the pandemic, right, everything just locked down. Like, you couldn't shoot, like nothing was happening. Everybody was, clients were retracting scopes, agencies were laying people off. It was looking kind of grim. Then 6 months in, we kind of were all like, all right, I think we're in this for the long haul. Like, we're going to have to settle out and now start growing again and start rebuilding whatever had been lost. And so typically speaking, like, new business is kind of called in to fill a hole. Like, sometimes the hole is $500,000, $1 million, $2 million. You lose a client. It's like, okay, Nora, fill this hole. So people had holes that needed to be filled. And now the mental block of like, my new business person needs to be in my four walls in my city was now, to the point where, hey, maybe you could be our new business person from Pittsburgh, but our agencies in Minneapolis, or our agencies in Austin, or our agencies in California or Vancouver. I mean, these were places I interviewed. I did 25 interviews, none in Pittsburgh. I was basically like, look, okay, if there's this much demand for what I'm doing, my whole philosophy is take the meeting. #take the meeting. Like, you can only know so much from the job description, but if you don't talk to the person who would be your boss, or you don't talk to the person who would be your teammates, that group, how would you know? And so I basically just took the meeting a lot while I was doing the VP thing. And I took 2 last interviews. One was with Cycle in New York City, which is part of laundry service. And then the other one was with a very small design studio, just one principal, Sean Scott. So it was SS Studio, Sean Scott Studio, and in the Bay Area. And Sean and I just really vibed. And he was that small business. He was that solopreneur that was doing really great design work, and said to me, Nora, I can do $500,000 on my own, but I don't think I can get to $1 million by myself. And I want to scale this business. I want to hire and mentor other designers, and I want to work with more clients. So could you help me get to $1 million? I was like, yeah, dude, I make anyone $1 million. That's not a problem. And so he was like, I need you, but I can't afford you full time. So have you ever thought about doing something entrepreneurial? Like, maybe I could be your client instead of you be my employee. And I was like, actually, Sean, funny enough, I did that a year ago. It's on my phone. Let me read you the brief. It's called Pitcher. And he was like, you need someone to design it? I was like, yeah, I do. And he was like, all right, let's do this. Just how this all happened, like, it felt to me like it happened in a really organic way, that I felt like, you know what, hey, I didn't like, it's not like I set out to leave Smith's. Like, it was kind of like, hey, at some point, maybe in the future I will, because, you need new experiences, you need new partners and mentors and people to learn from. So like, I had the thought that maybe that was running its course as I was getting towards like the 10-year mark, that maybe it was time for something different. So yeah, so that's how I kind of got to where I am now, in a roundabout way.
What about when you kind of just quit your job? Did you have any fear or regrets, of like, maybe this wasn't the best decision in the moment, but like, and if so, how did you kind of advance beyond that?
No, none at all. I had no fear and no regrets. I mean, yeah, there is instability in terms of, you don't have the benefits anymore. You don't have the guaranteed income. You have to hustle more. You have to put yourself out there. But I was ready to do that. And I was also ready to do things my way, after having the experience of feeling like I wanted to work with smaller businesses and kind of being told no at a certain point, because like, it was not financially advantageous for their organization or for many like them. But it was really cool for me to be able to like put myself in the client's shoes. If they were a small business, like, what would they be willing to pay for this service? Or would they be happy to have a partner that had a little bit more skin in the game? For instance, like, what if I reduced my upfront hourly rate to something much lower than a standard agency principal would charge on the rate card, maybe $200, $300, $400, $500 an hour? What if I reduce that to $100 an hour? So you're getting somebody of my skill level, but basically what I'm doing is I take that VP job that I was doing and chop it into 4 pieces. So instead of $400 an hour for one client, it's $100 per hour per client. So that's how I still get to the total I need, for my bottom line, but I'm spreading it out. You hear about people doing like fractional CMO work or fractional CFO work, because maybe you don't need the CFO in your business all the time, but you do need bookkeeping, and you do need them in there, once a month, once a quarter, to consult with you on big decisions that you're making financially. So same thing with marketing. You might not need somebody in the trenches with you every single day, but someone that helps you write the roadmap and the game plan, and then works, here and there ad hoc with you throughout the week, essentially 8 to 10 hours a week. So, if I do that division of 4, basically me and every other pitcher on my team. Now I have Julia, so she's our strategy director. So I'm loading her up with clients too. If you think about it, that's 8 to 10 hours per week per client. So that gets you to like that 32 to 40 hours, essentially a week. And our arrangement is $100 an hour, and that roughs out to 100 hours a quarter. So that's 10K. That's a 10K retainer per quarter. So you can pay that monthly, like 33. Like that's about as low as you could pay to get marketing support. That's kind of the bottom line. And so that's our model. If we do retainer and we're with you in sort of an embedded ongoing way as your contract, fractional marketing lead, business development lead, strategy lead, or all of the above. Some people are like, hey, I have more needs than just the 100 hours, so I want to do a double contract. So we'll do that too, if that's desired. But then, so where we put the skin in the game is on the back end. And this is like a business development thing, right? To do commission. And different agencies do their commission different ways, right? And different consultants do. So the way I do it is, okay, I'm going to reduce to that $100 an hour upfront. But then when I help you make your first million, you pay me 10%. And then 5% for everything after that. Like the first million is the easiest to make. And it's also the most important to make for most people. So that's where we do the 10%. And then it's harder to get to that additional growth, but also at that point, we sort of made the money we need to make on the arrangement, and we're willing to reduce it and let our clients keep more of that for themselves. So that's how we do it. Yeah.
I love that insight. I think it's super intriguing thinking about that in those terms. What are, on a more general sense, 3 months into your business, what are like 3 things you learned about, starting your own business?
3 things I would say I've learned. One, I have an entrepreneurship coach who's been very helpful. Her name is Lovely Myrtles. Her business, 1159, helps businesses like mine and yours scale. So like scale in an effective way, because that's one thing that's hard when you're a solo and like all these ideas are in your brain. You're like, how do I make this a bigger thing? How do I make this bigger outside of myself? So I needed to scale. I needed to make a full-time hire. I needed to make some part-time, like strategic 1099 hires, subcontractors. So everyone's got their zone of genius, whether it's a channel specific zone, like you're really excellent at, I don't know, social or influencer, like the motherhood is. But for me and Pitcher, those are strategy, business development, inbound marketing. That's it. That's what we do. So this is a really good exercise. Like if you're thinking about getting into entrepreneurship, if you're trying to figure out what your zones of genius are, literally divide a piece of paper in half, and on one side write what I'm good at or what I like to do, what I don't like to do, what I'm not good at. And it will help you figure out like, hey, this is what I can offer to the world, and this is stuff that other people are going to have to offer. And I'm either going to have to partner to get it, or I'm going to have to outsource it or do a handoff. And so that was kind of where the notion of like us not being an agency really shaped up, because I don't do creative. We're kind of like your art agent. Like you're the artist, Nick, and we're your art agent. We're that annoying gallery owner that's standing outside the gallery that is like, don't you come in here without $1 million in your bank account. This is some dope shit. Don't come in here without the money. And so we are kind of like the gatekeepers, like we're protecting the creatives, in that instance. And that's what we're good at. On the flip side of that is everything that you suck at, what you got to do for those ones is basically either hire somebody to do it for you or like find a contractor. And then what's a third thing I've learned? I think my philosophy of take the meeting, I really have leaned into and lived by. And I will say for anybody who is maybe not that happy in their job, that wants to try for a new job, or maybe not that happy working full time anymore and wants to go freelance or wants to start their own thing, ask for the meeting and take the meeting. What if I had been like too busy? What if I had been like, I'm so busy, I just can't possibly take that meeting? Or what if I had been like, you don't look like the kind of business I would want to work with? Like, well, how would I know? Honestly, take the meeting, lean into your zone of genius, and outsource anything that you don't know anything about, because, can't know everything about everything.
It's a pretty good end note, but is there anything else you want to add?
If you ever want to take the meeting with us, just one message away. Hit me up. I'm a human. I'm a real life human. I will talk to you.
Nora, thank you so much for your time and all your insights today. I hope you all watching enjoyed this interview as much as I did. We will see you next time in a month on the next episode of Vancing With. Have a good one.